Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Farmers Union Insurance pregame show. I'm Lauren Hill, and with me today are
Ken Oda.
And Edward Neiman.
and we are so excited to be doing our first pregame show of this season all together. Edward is currently in Austin, Minnesota at Riverside Arena. So, how is it at your first time there? What's your first
Yeah,
impression?
it's great. It's awesome facilities here. It's really this team's first turn to be in enemy territory per se. Obviously, with the showcase, you're in a neutral site, but it's exciting definitely to be in the division now in the Central Division and here in Austin.
Awesome. That's great to hear. So, starting with our first segment on the show, we're going to start with Farmers Union Insurance recap of the showcase.
Yeah, Lauren, and at the showcase, obviously in a perfect world, the Toros would have walked out of there 3-0 with 3 wins, but Toros wrapped things up 1-2. A really solid win though in the regular season opener over the United States National Team Development Program, the 17U team, 6-1. 5 of those goals coming in the first period. Jesse Uhala got the Toros on the board in the first period. Really tough angle shot near side, just along that goal line. John Small added another assist coming from Jack Edwards and Adam Mahler. And then the third of the night came just a minute later after that goal, with Uhala finding the back of the net for the second goal of the game, as the Toros took a commanding 3-0 lead, really within the first half of that first period on Wednesday night. And then Marvin Cordes added the fourth, and Jack O'Hannison with the fifth, excuse me. Toros get off to a 6-1 win. First win of the season. They hung tough in a quick turnaround game against El Paso the next day. That was an afternoon game. Toros were coming off a late night game against a national team on Wednesday night, then turn around Thursday night, 1 p.m. start. Run into some good goaltending. Michael Lanzi nearly shut out the Toros, saving 46 of 47 shots on net. Rhinos beat the Toros in that one 2-1. Nevertheless, though, Toros hang tough. They look competitive, forced a lot of shots on net. And then Springfield got the win over the Toros on the final day on Saturday, 3-0. So the Toros walk into this one finally playing some interdivision games with a 1-2 record, and they're matched up against a really hot Austin Bruins team who is undefeated 4-0 entering this weekend.
Awesome. Thank you, Edward. Now turning our attention back to tonight's game, let's look at our Noodles numbers brought to you by Noodles and Company of Minot. We're going to start with the fact that, like Edward just said, Minot is currently 1-2, and the Austin Bruins are 4-0 going into this game tonight. Our first stat line is the goals per game. The Minot Minotauros have scored an average of 2.3 goals per game, as the Austin Bruins have scored an average of 4.2 goals per game.
Yeah, offense obviously hard to come by for the Toros. Those last couple games at the showcase, just the one goal coming in the first period against El Paso. But you know, averages like this, I think they swing wildly, right? Toros scored 6 in the first game. Too small of a sample size to get too worried about the averages this early in the season, especially when you saw this Toros team can score in that opener against the national team. I'm not too worried overall about the Toros offense, and the Bruins 4.25 a game. Over a course of 60 games, that's going to be hard to keep up.
Yeah, Ken, and one thing that I've seen from this Toros team is they're forcing a lot of shots on net, 112 shots on net through 3 games. I mean, you just got to find the back of the net. You keep putting shots on net. I think the Toros will eventually find some goals and get some points on the board.
Awesome. Our next stat is the goals against. So Minot has had an average of 2 goals scored against us per game, as Austin has had an average of 1 goal scored against them per game.
Yeah, and that goal breakdown for Austin is literally averaging out to they've only allowed a goal in each of their games. So points have been tough to come by their opponents thanks to good goaltending. But as we mentioned before, the Toros keep forcing shots on net. I think that'll put some pressure on the Austin net or goaltending, all weekend long.
For sure, and I think on the Toros and that 2.0, I was talking about small sample size a minute ago, but that's a number the Toros only allowed 2.03 goals per game last year. So that is a sustainable number. I think the 1 goal a game for Austin, you mentioned the Toros getting shots on goal, Edward. I think looking at it, the Bruins giving up less than 20 shots on goal per game. That also probably not sustainable over the course of a 59, 60 game season, especially you get this Toros team that's been putting tons of pucks on net. So hopefully as the shots on goal against number goes up for the Bruins, so do the goals against.
Exactly. Our next stat line is the power play. The Minotauros have completed 0 out of 11 power plays so far. We are currently 34th in the league for that, as well as the Bruins have a 25% I'm about to say acceptance rate, 25% accuracy rate. They are currently third, completing 4 out of 16 power plays, power plays.
And that's another one. The 25% that is sustainable for the Bruins. I think they've always been a good special teams team. For the Toros, you're not going to go over on the power play for the season. It's just a matter of time, especially players like Jack Johannesson, who put up 29 goals last year. You know he's going to break through eventually. I think the alarming number is maybe the 2 shorthanded goals against for the Toros. That's probably the more concerning number than the 0 power play goals allowed. But again, I think that's ultimately fixable with time and chemistry together.
Yeah, Ken, and I know we'll get into it a little later in the show, but this Austin team, always a really physical team. So I think special teams is going to play a big role in this game. And if the Toros can get something going on the power play, I think they can find a lot of early success and start to put some pressure on Austin in this series.
Mm-hmm. And then with this last stat from our noodle numbers, is the penalty kills. This stat is, although our percentage is equal, so 100%, we've had 10 less opportunities than they have, as we've completed 6 out of 6 and they've completed 16 out of 16.
Yeah, and same thing here. I think Toros had the second best penalty kill last year, over 90%. Obviously, you're not going to go perfect on the season as much as Cody Campbell would like the guys to. Goaltending plays a huge part. Both teams have good goaltending. And here again, it was what makes you nervous as a Toro fan. Toros have allowed 2 shorthanded goals already this year. The Bruins, they've potted a couple.
Yeah, and we talk about the penalty kill and really just special teams in general. One of the later things implemented in training camp. So I anticipate as things start to carry into the regular season, Toros will start to clean those things up and they'll find some success both on the power play and penalty kill.
Yeah, well, awesome. We'll be back with more of the Farmers Union Insurance pregame show.
Lucky for us, life is full of choices, big and small. They define us, make us who we are. And when it comes time for you to choose, a car, home, your next big adventure, or start a new business, Farmers Union Insurance has the variety of coverage options to protect each perfect moment. Farmers Union Insurance. Contact your local Farmers Union Insurance agent today.
Welcome back to the Farmers Union Insurance pregame show. Starting with our second segment, we're going to be doing the Minotauros Booster Club players to watch.
I'll kick this off. I think I mentioned him already here this evening on the pregame show. Jack O'Hannisson's the guy I would keep an eye on. Toros haven't scored in 112 minutes and 5 seconds since the John Small goal against El Paso. O'Hanny had 29 goals last season. He had 5 of them come against the Austin Bruins, plus 5 assists in those 12 games. So I think O'Hanny's probably a guy, veteran guy, a high production guy, and when you're trying to get your offense going again, he's probably the first guy you're going to look to get the team going again.
Yeah, and for my player to watch, I have Jesse Uala. I know I talked about him earlier before, but just one of the guys who has 3 points for this Toros team, 2 goals in the game against the national team with an assist. Really an efficient player so far, and I think the biggest takeaway I have, as I mentioned before, the one way you break good goaltending is just to continue to shoot the puck and continue to force the puck on net, even if it's through traffic. I think that's where the Toros will find some success if they can do so. And I think Jesse Uhala was the guy that really displayed that in the season opener and really also in the rest of the games he's played thus far. So I anticipate him to have a good weekend. And, being one of the newer faces out here, I think looking back last year at this season between really in the playoffs, especially between Austin and the Toros, speed was a big difference between these 2 teams. And I think if you can continue to put pucks on net, you can really take advantage in the speed department.
And then moving on to our next segment, Keys to the Game, brought to you by Home Key Group. We'll toss it to Ken to talk about this one.
Sure. I think anytime you play Austin, Edwards mentioned it as well, you have to play fast. Steve Howard teams usually bigger, stronger guys, but maybe a little bit slower. So if the Toros can get their feet moving, play quickly, they'll be off to a good start, I think. Another key to the game is get out clean, and by that I mean getting out of the defensive zone. When Austin has the most success against the Toros is when they can keep the Toros pinned in their end of the ice. Again, that size and strength starts to wear on you, whether it's battles in the corners, battles in front of the net. The Toros can get on pucks quickly that are dumped into their zone and turn the play back up ice. You get those Bruin big guys having to turn quickly and get back on defense, tires them out, and then you'll see by the end of the weekend, a lot of the times, the Austin Bruins are just tired. All right, my third key to the game, no second chances. We talk about the size and strength of the Bruin forwards. You don't want to have first shots lead to net mouth scrums, bigger guys, harder to move away from the front of the net. You don't want to get into those battles where they're allowed to take 2, 3, 4 whacks at a puck, whether it's Lucas or Will in net tonight or tomorrow. You want to get those first saves clean, either good rebound control over to a defender or just able to hold on and take a whistle.
And we'll be back with more of the Farmers Union Insurance pregame show.
Hi, I'd like to add my new motorcycle to my insurance policy, please.
Greetings. Is it a moped or unicycle?
No, it's a motorcycle.
Unicycling enhances core body strength.
No, it's a motorcycle. It has 2 wheels, a seat, handlebars.
Does it have rocket boosters?
Can I speak to a live agent?
Impossible. All agents have been neutralized.
At Farmers Union Insurance, technology is important, and so is finding the best options for our clients, person to person. Farmers Union Insurance. Local agents, more options, great rates.
As long as you have the back of someone in the midst of an overdose, North Dakota's Good Samaritan Law has yours. Learn how to save a life at behavioralhealth.nd.gov.
Opioids. Fill with care.
Minotauros fans, it's time to take out your phones and pull up the Taros mobile app for your chance to win prizes throughout tonight's game. Our first game will be sponsored by the Forebear Sportsbook over-unders. So our first option here is our total Taros first period goals. Are we going to be over 0.5 or under 0.5?
I'll kick it off. I'm going to take the over. I think the Toros offense has been quiet long enough. I think they break through. In the first 5 minutes. So I'm going way over.
Yeah, Ken, I was kind of feeling the same way. I think with a group, a week to regroup and get back on track here, the Toros once again will display that speed that always seems to be a problem for teams. And I think we'll get an early goal here for the men from the Magic City as well.
I agree. Definitely over. All right. Our next one is the total Toros power play chances. Is it over or under 3.5?
Edward, what are you thinking on this one?
Yeah, I'm going to go over on this one. Like we mentioned, this Austin is a physical team. It always, the games are always, at times at least can be choppy and physical, and both teams with power play opportunities on both sides. And I'm going to take the over on this one.
Yeah, I look at 16 penalties they've had to kill so far this season. That's 4 a game. I don't expect them to suddenly find their discipline when they're playing a rival that knocked them out of the playoffs last year. So I'm going to take the over on the 3.5 as well.
I agree. I was literally about to bring up Ken's stat number there, and he took it from me in my little notes right here. So I'm going to go with over. The last one we have is total fighting majors called. Is it above or over 1.5 or below?
Wouldn't be a weekend in Austin without a fight. I was leaning over before, but I think I'm going to change it up. I'm going to take the under. I think first meeting of the year, I think it takes until tomorrow until tempers boil over.
I'm going to go over on this one. Ken, the Toros did show some physical play after the whistle in a couple of those games at the showcase, and I wouldn't be surprised we see more of it boil over here tonight.
I'm agreeing with Edward. I'm going to go with over. I think with the record we have so far, I think our players could just have a little pent-up energy in there. And I think Austin is the perfect place to let a little bit of it out. But I also agree with Ken that I believe that the over-under of that may be higher tomorrow. Tomorrow. Awesome. Okay. Moving on to our second thing that you are able to participate on the app is the McDonald's Taros trivia. So the question for today is, what is the Taros single game record for team penalty minutes, which was set in a game against Austin? So our options are 85, 97, 108, or 114?
I'm going to take 108. I think there's quite a few penalty minutes against these two teams, and my teachers in school always taught me when you don't know the answer, take the third option. So that's what I'm going to rock with here tonight.
I was literally about to say that. When you're given a multiple choice and it's numbers, you always take the one that could be the median. So either that's 97 or 108, and I feel a little better choosing 108 than I do 97. But saying that, in all honesty, I am guessing. So
I'm not going to play along because I do know the answer, so I don't want to give it away for Toro fans. I remember the game. You have to go pretty far back in Toro history to find the answer in this one, but it's definitely a night I remember, so I'm not going to give the answer away, but fans, you can get your guess in the Toros Hockey mobile app. Chance to win that free lunch from our friends at Dakota Drive McDonald's.
So that may have been a hint there or not that Ken said it's really memorable. So maybe it could be 114. We never know. He knows, but we never do not. All right. And then I guess y'all's just final thoughts on the game tonight.
Well, Edward, you're going to have a lot of time to talk about tonight's game, but so I'm going to give my final thoughts and then I'll let you wrap it up. But, I think anytime you're facing a team that you knocked out of the playoffs the season before in their home opener, you're going to expect a lot of emotion. We've talked about this rivalry a bit tonight and over the years. Despite being two of the farther teams apart, unlike the, say, Bismarck and Minot rivalry, this is a rivalry that's been forged in the postseason. Goes way back to the Toros' first playoff series ever. I think because of last spring, I expect it to be a high emotion series, even though it's early in the year. And whichever team maybe does a better job of keeping control of those emotions, I think will come out on top.
Yeah, Lauren, I'm really excited for this series. I think it's a little easier sometimes to get up for an interdivision game. At the showcase, you only play those teams once a year, and you won't really run into them other than maybe in the playoffs down the road. So I anticipate the Toros coming out here with pep in their step, an opportunity to get another win on the board. We didn't see the Toros get swept all that often last year, and I think they're going to want to continue that same mentality of picking up 2 games on the road. And if they win one tonight, they'll be in a good position to do so.
Okay, awesome. Well, that will do it for the Farmers Union Insurance pregame show. After the break, the puck will drop on tonight's game in Austin.